Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 670 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Do. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Thursday, October 26th, 2025, and it's a bit of a gray day here at the Beaver Lodge. Still some intermittent rain here and there. It rained pretty much all day yesterday, again, on and off, and throughout the night, and it's still gray this morning. So, um, again, we're getting a good drink, which is fine because we need it. We definitely need it. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And not with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Thank you for all of your support. Kids and cubs, how is your mental health doing today? I have to say, I am doing better, as you can hear in my voice. I am feeling a little better, or either that I'm feeling a little better, or that the decongestions I took them earlier than I did yesterday, and they've kicked in better by the time of the start of the show. Not 100% better by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not feeling listless as I was yesterday at the moment. So I don't know if that's just because I got good sleep and good rest, and I'm starting the day off with maximum energy, and it's just going to slow down as the day goes by, or whether or not I'm over the worst of it and on the mend. But as you can tell, my voice is a little clearer, at least for now. I have the trusty decongestant right here, if ever I need it. And of course, the trusty box of Kleenex right here off camera. And of course, a nice warm cup of tea. Mm. And of course, tea is very appropriate because hopefully we'll be spilling a little bit of it today on the show. Ah, all right, kids and cubs. Yeah, but feeling well, feeling very good. Still floating a little bit from a date night a couple of days ago, from having seen the Development Alpha and Ailey Company dance. I remembered yesterday before I went to bed that I talked so much about my Beaver Sweetie having gotten it right by picking a dance company, and without even knowing, because he had no idea what my favorite dance companies were, and just taking me out on date night. I mean, all the stars were aligned. I was supposed to play curling on Tuesday nights, but every few weeks we have a bye because we have an uneven number of teams in our division, and it just so happened it was that Tuesday. So I wasn't curling, and one of my favorite dance companies, and my sweetie decided that he was going to surprise me with a gift outing, and all the stars were aligned. It could not have been better. But with all of that, I never actually talked about the performance, which was absolutely spectacular. They did the three numbers, and the first one was a choreography from Alvin Ailey himself. Um, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look that up. I don't know if Alvin Ailey is still alive. Um, very, but to check that. Yes, no, he died in 1989. Yeah, I thought so. That was the case. So the first one was one of his own choreographies, and then the other two were more modern choreographies. But great studies in movement, and the last one had a little bit of a political edge. It was sort of a bit of a history. There were elements of history of the Black community in the United States. Uh, Embedded within it, there was music, but there were also spoken word passages from news clips and things of the like mixed in, and it was, like I said, very good. And the thing that was interesting is that um, maybe if you're not a dancer, you couldn't tell, but as a dancer, I could tell. Um, how would I put it? In some of the movements that how would I put it? Had I not known it was a development company, right, at the beginning, I would have been would have loved the dance performance, no more nor less. Uh, but there were a couple moments I would have gone, "Ooh, ooh." So there were, a couple of little moments every now and then where you could tell, it was a development company, um, but only in the sense, and I mean, I'm not gonna complain because, as long as I danced, I was never as good as anyone on that stage. So, this is some armchair choreography. But there were a couple of moments where you could tell, even maybe your sweetie turned around at one point and said, there were a couple times I was wondering, and said, yeah, because it is a development company. It was, created to give performers at the school who are, on their way to full professional careers a chance to get a sense of what it is like to tour and get used to that grind and that schedule and having to manage your body and all that kind of stuff, over a series of tours before they went up and got full professional. So there are moments every now and then you could tell, but nothing at all to be disappointed about or anything of the sort. They were great performances throughout. They got a rousing standing ovation, and the fun part was is that after the show there was actually a talk back. So the person who's leading the company today and two of the dancers came out and answered a lot of the audience questions, and it was a lot of fun because there were some grown-ups that stayed, but there were a lot of kids. So when I say kids, teenagers, more that were studying dance school. One of whom I had actually performed in a musical with, so it was nice to see her again. Um, but even they were there and asking questions, and you could tell in those moments, right, when the director of company is looking at fresh young faces, who are dancers, when you giving them hope and inspiring them, and then the two dancers who are closer to them in age but still older, um, and on the way to their journeys, and giving them a lot of hope and inspiration. And um, she repeated something that somebody told me, which was, if you're an artist, do not have a plan B, because when times get tough, and they will get tough, you will fall back on plan B and you will never go after plan A. So in my case, I did go after plan A. I pushed as far as I could go until my body would not let me do it anymore. And then I had to find a plan B, which was a little hard, I have to say. I struggled for a little bit, but I eventually found my way and, you know, uh, never was able to fulfill the big dream of being a dancer and touring the world and going on big stages. But I have had the opportunity to perform on some pretty big stages since, and I have had a chance once or twice to perform professionally. even though I thought that part of my career was over. More pro-am stuff, but I did have an opportunity. I have been paid to dance, so I guess I can say that at least for a few moments, I was a dance professional. So yeah, it's the- once you're a I don't know if it's the same for other art forms. I would assume it is, because I mean, I think of Celine Dion when she had a stiff person syndrome, and it impedes her ability to sing. I mean, and that's her whole identity, right? She is a singer. She's an entertainer. She loves her public, and um, you know, the thing that you're the best at, that you worked all your life at, that you can now suddenly you can't do it anymore, you can't do it as well anymore. It changes things. So I assume it would be the same for other performers, but for dancers at least, once you have the soul of a dancer, you you always do, right? Whether your body can keep up anymore or not, you're always dancing somehow, some way. Either you're like you got your eyes closed and you're imagining choreography in your head, like this, or you're listening to a movie and then the soundtrack of the movie comes on and there's a song you recognize, like this, and you're like in the seat and you're dancing to it as the movie's going on or something. But once a dancer, always a dancer. So, like I said, uh, I'm still, um, I'm still coasting off the good vibes from that night and feeling really great. So, yeah, good mood. Anyway, that was a long, long, long talk about me. Let's get into the important stuff. Like you. How are you doing today, kids and cubs? Let's see who's with us if I look into the magic monitor. I see we have Kit Linda with us and Kit Elaine. We have Kit Saucy, the sauce boss, with us. We have Kit Uncover with us as well. Kit Grace. Yes, Kit Hyper T 007 está funcionado. He says yes because we had a little bit of a false start trying to get the show done today. And technologically, I solved it way more quickly than I had before. And I saw Miss Elaine praising the fact that I'm acquiring skills. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. We have Kit Nona with us as well. We have Carol Double D with us. Also, we have two Nonas with us. Hey, my God, that's so much fun. Two for the price of one. ah, let's see, who else do we have? We have Kit Ill today. Hope you are feeling better than I am. Let's put it that way. We have Kit Bohan uh, and family here. And heard that Kit Mateo wasn't feeling too well after his birthday party. It seems that he was feeling well for the time of his birthday party and then came down with a little something afterwards. So sending him some healing energy and hope he feels better today. We have as well Kit Tavi G. We have uh, we definitely have somebody who's interesting here, typing in all caps and not saying kind things. So we will just pretend that they were not here and not let that person influence the day in any way, shape, or form because they have no power here. Next, we have Kit Kat in the chat. Good morning to you. And I have a feeling that the Kit Saucy, well, there you go. Right there. I was just going to say, I have a feeling that Kit Saucy might already be on this. And that I saw Kit Saucy say, my wrench always, well, not always, my wrench swings from the left. Boom. And Kid Grace not saying a word this time. ah, I like your style, Kid Grace. I like your style. For the listeners, we had a little bit, a mild dust up a couple of days ago in the chat from a misinterpretation and a miscommunication. Let's say everything, all that was well, ended well in the end, but there were some feathers temporarily ruffled, and we had to smooth those out. So Grace, Kid Grace, giving a little harken back to that moment with that comment. I see you. I see what you did there. 50 beaver points. That was clever. Oh man, let's see what else do we have. Who else do we have here in the chat? We have Kit Tom with us. Hey, saying good morning, friends, and good morning to you as well, friend. Glad you are here. And let's see, still going through the chat. Is that everyone today? Looking through. No, Kit Jenny is here saying morning, everyone. And good morning to you, Kit Jenny. Kit Swikey Frankie is here. You're becoming a tech guru. Oh my, don't flatter me. That will go through that will go to my head, and then I will be overconfident in my abilities, and I will kersplat in a spectacular fashion for all to see. That's basically the story of my life. So Ah, Kit James here saying morning to everyone as well. Kit Saucy wishing Mateo a happy belated birthday in the chat. And yes, a bevy of nonas, a nona cluster. Yeah, what do you do? What do you call a collection of nonas? Huh. I'd have to think about that. Suggestions welcome. Kit Carol says noninas. So okay, what do you call a group of noninas? Uh, and that is everyone, kits and cubs. So thank you for joining us this morning. And I see that I have a flying buttress hair. I'll just try to smooth that down. There we go. All right, kids and cubs. Yesterday, hadn't announced it during the show because I had a rehearsal scheduled for last night, so I would not have been here. But I was not feeling well enough and decided not to put anybody else at risk. I could rehearse with the mask, but I didn't have the energy, so I thought that I was rest would probably do me much better yesterday, today, and tomorrow before the next rehearsal on Saturday, and hopefully not take out a third of the company. So I was responsible, and I stayed home. And because I stayed home, I was able to do a live watch party of the Prime Minister addressing the nation last night. So it just dawned on me about an hour before it happened. Say, wait a minute, I'm home. I can do that. So I didn't have lots of chance to announce it, and some of you tuned in for that. But for those of you who hadn't and who haven't seen it yet, we'll touch upon it briefly here. But if you do want to watch the full thing, yesterday, like I said, we had a live watch party, and then after the speech, we did some analysis of it, a little bit more thorough than we're going to do today. So if you would like the full details, please go and check that. And a couple of days ago as well, we did the Beaver International show because I had been promising on the main show some news about democracy around the world, and the extra two clips from the interview with Michel Hussein that Prime Minister Carney did, where he talks about the motivations for his decision on recognizing the Palestinian state, and of course how he views the situation in Ukraine and how he views Putin in particular. So those are there in that episode too. So just wanted to point your attention to the fact that they are there on the YouTube channel for you to watch. And it's rare for us. This is 2 days this week where we actually produced 2 episodes just because of things going on and having extra information that we collected over a while, which is a little rare for us. But yes, so there's some lots of bonus beaver in the YouTube channel this week for you to check out. So, yesterday around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Prime Minister from the campus of the University of Ottawa addressed the nation in an event that was at the time. Let me just check that out. Sorry, I lost my marker with my notes here. Uh, This is slightly embarrassing. Let's try that one more time. There we go. In an event that was billed by the Prime Minister's office, the PMO, as a live address on Canada's plan to build a stronger economy. And of course, this is an event because it took place at the University of Ottawa that took place in front of a lot of youth, which is something that I have noticed the Prime Minister has not spent a lot of time doing, is talking to youth specifically. He had mentioned during the campaign that there would be some stuff for youth, and there was with the apprentice program and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't the type of thing, and it might have been because of the time of the year, exams and then school being let out, that it was hard to go to a venue where there were lots of youth gathered at that moment because it was a like I said, uh, the way that the election fell, the university academic year was ending or about to or over. during the time of the campaign. So uh, this was an opportunity for the Prime Minister to speak directly to youth. And kids and cubs, I think you can hear it now in my voice. I'm starting to stuff up a little bit, and the decongestant has decided to wear off. I think I might have taken it a little too early this morning. So I might have to, at some point, make a strategic disappearance from the screen in order to take care of that. Uh, so this speech, if you did have a chance to watch it, the thing that was very clever about it, and I think I remember I think we had a guest not too long ago. No, it wasn't a guest. It was when I was on Laura Babcock's show. She had mentioned that in her opinion, that a good strategy for the Prime Minister would be to have fireside chats about once a week with the Canadian public to let them know week in and week out what it is that he's doing, what progress he's made, because the communication style has been very CEO-ish in the sense that, uh, you know, uh, when he made the interesting turn of phrase during the election campaign, no, not the election campaign, when he went to visit Trump at the awful office the first time, and said, I spoke to the shareholders of Canada, and they said that it is not for sale. Uh, if we're talking about that, talking about that sense, right? The CEO of Canada in that instance. You know, would usually say something once to his board, and then his board would go out and execute it, and then would communicate back again when there are results to communicate, and there wouldn't be that much to say in between that. And the communication has sort of been falling into this pattern, particularly with the trade negotiation with the United States. Uh, I often say on the show, good trade negotiators don't speak out of turn, and it's good in a way that we don't know much about what's going on from our side. That things are being kept quiet and private for the negotiations to be able to have maximum effectiveness. But too much of a good thing is just as bad as not enough. There does need to be some communication, particularly if there were expectations created that we would have a deal earlier, that we would have it. Uh, and the reason why we don't is obviously we realized that the game was different once we started playing it than we thought it was going to be going in. We went in with the misassumption that Trump 2.0 was going to be somewhat similar to Trump 1.0, and turns out that's not what we got. So the rules have changed, and therefore we've had to change too. Uh, and the fact that the rules have changed and we've had to change has been communicated in the overall sense in terms of the plan to reorient the economy, but within the negotiations themselves, there has been no moment where the prime minister has actually come to a microphone and said, when we went into this negotiations, we thought that this is what we're dealing with. We've since found out that this is really what we're dealing with, and this is going to take more time, and it's going to be more intense, and therefore, you know things are going to be a little more delayed than we originally thought, because we went into this thinking that Trump actually wanted a deal to start with and wanted one fast. Turns out that that's not the case, right? So uh, those types of communications, more clear at specific critical moments, have not been happening. So this speech yesterday kind of harkened back to the election campaign period when the prime minister was taking the opposite track from Pierre Poilievre, who, I keep on saying is Canada's abusive boyfriend and never misses an opportunity to tell us how we're ugly and fat and stupid and nobody will love us and all that kind of stuff, right? And that, thank God he's there and that he will even deign to look at us because, God, nobody else will, because we're so not worth it, right? That type of talk. Whereas Prime Minister Mark Carney was, no, it's like, yes, I understand we're being pressured, that times are tough, but look at all the stuff that we can do. Like I said, look at all our potential and look at the places that we could go. And I believe that we can do that. And I believe we can do that because we've done it before. And so we definitely have it within us to be able to do it again. And as Canadians, I believe in us and I believe in you as Canadians that you will be able to do it, even if it would require some hard work and some sacrifice. I believe that you have the mettle to get through it. And we could be so much more than we've ever been, if we do this right. So it was very inspiring, and it created a bit of a societal project that we could all jump on board with. Uh, and that rhetoric disappeared about 10 days before the end of the campaign and sort of has not been really seen since. So the prime minister got back to that. So for those who were listening to it and who have listened to the prime minister a lot since he's come on the scene around that Daily Show episode in January where he really made a mark. Mark made a mark on the public consciousness. Uh, from that moment on, the prime minister was pretty much off to the races and was, like I said, was speaking uh, in very real terms, telling us how the situation had changed with the United States. Right now, he's at the point. He made the comment that things will never be the same. But now, lately, he's been saying it's a rupture. Right? It's not just a smooth transition away from something. It's just a hard rupture. Basically, somebody stopped the world from spinning. Gravity be damned. Right? And now we're dealing with the consequences rather than doing this in an orderly fashion. Right? So for those who would pay attention to the prime minister, the skeleton of this speech was very similar to what he was doing during the election campaign that was inspiring. But now, given that he has, about 6 months in the prime minister's seat and he's been traveling and, negotiating things and setting the stage for certain things to happen, he's got more meat to put on the bones with examples and, achievements that are made and things that are underway that have started. First, uh, elements of certain plans having been laid and delivered, and now he can move to the next one as well. So he added those elements onto the bones of that skeleton in the speech. So it was much more substantive, whereas before it was much more aspirational. And here's the plan. Now it's sort of like, that plan I was telling you about? Well, we're working on it, and here's where we are now, and here's where we could go with it. Right? So I think it was very smart of him to be coming back to that original skeleton because that's what was serving him very well. And one of the things is that uh, the specter of the menace of Trump is not always present 24/7, right? There are times, sometimes 1 or 2 or 3 weeks even, where we're not mentioned whatsoever, and he's talking about stuff with Ukraine, whatnot, or he's uh, bombing boats. Off the coast of Venezuela or wherever it is that he's doing, and we're not topical, and that other subjects of importance to Canadians that are more domestic, like for example crime and affordability and whatnot, come up, and then that gives an opportunity for the conservatives to try and score some points, and then and then Trump will do something like refer to the 51st state again or impose a new tariff, whatnot, and then oh yeah, we realize that fucker's still there, screwing us over, and right, and we still need this thing. The other thing, however, is with the specter of Trump, uh, and this is a marketing and a social marketing concept. Uh, Getting people motivated by fear only works so long. Uh, for example, the example they always gave us in communication school was about smoking. You could tell people that smoking was bad for them; it would cause cancer and whatnot. But then people turn around, well, but the other people get cancer. Well, that won't happen to me, or oh, well, it's like it's not like you smoke one cigarette and get cancer instantaneously, right? It takes a long time. So, well, it hasn't happened yet, so maybe I will skip it. All these things that we tell ourselves to rationalize. Uh, and not have to take on the cost, either financial or in terms of will or energy or effort of making a change, right? But that fear, what happens is that, oh my God, smoking could kill me, like this. And then as time goes by, well, I'm still smoking and it hasn't killed me. So, well, maybe not. You, the fear that was there is not enough for you to regulate your behavior. The only way to do that is to ratchet up the fear even more. But it's always a temporary thing because the longer you live in a context where somebody says fear, 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 and the worst hasn't happened yet, the less fearful you become of the threat of fear. It becomes less effective. So that's also the thing with Donald Trump, and the fact that there's also the taco thing with Trump, and then there's Apparently, there's a whole other one out there now called chicken and waffles. So tacos with economic stuff and chicken and waffles is with foreign affair stuff, like him dealing with Putin. There's going to be some consequences. And then, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll give him another month and whatnot. And then he doesn't do it. So, uh, yeah, we have tacos and we have chicken and waffles when it comes to him. But that type of thing, you can't keep somebody bathing in the warm waters of fear all the time and not expect them to adapt, right? Or their fear threshold to increase somewhere along the way. So it's easy for us as Canadians to forget along the way that Donald Trump is as big a menace as he is because the worst hasn't happened. And Mark Carney, in some way, is a bit of the victim of his success in the sense that the more efficient he is at reorienting our economy faster and the less impacts, the less impressive are the impacts of what the United States is doing upon us, uh, then again, it becomes one of those pandemic situations where I said, if after all is said and done, people are turning around, gee, the government overreacted, that probably means the government did the right thing. It would probably be something similar as this. Well, gee, they kept on telling us that all the sky was about to fall, and it didn't, and that, of course, makes it such that we have less fear. But it doesn't mean that the reality on the ground has changed. Doesn't mean that Trump is less of a menace and less of a threat. It doesn't mean that we don't have to move to reorient our economy with less alacrity or less gumption or less speed, right? Just because the worst hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it will never happen. It doesn't mean that we have the luxury of bonus time here. We're trying to buy time for ourselves in order for the changes that we're making, most of them, more of them, to be able to get further down the line, and then we are able to reap more benefits from it before getting all the hardest potential impacts of it. But impacts that may never come as well, but we have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So coming back to this narrative, as the Prime Minister has done, is a very smart thing for him communications wise, because it's a winner for him. Um, So that's sort of the gist of what went on last night. Now, there were a couple of key moments. The thing that was interesting is because he was talking to youth in the room, uh, there definitely needed to be planks in what he was saying yesterday that would relate to them. And I want to show you a clip pretty much right from the beginning. It'll be two clips sort of back to back because there's some French in the middle. And at the early part of the speech, the simultaneous interpreter, I think, probably had not been retained yet for this speech because I was doing it during the live party until about a few minutes in when they finally had somebody come on. Uh, so I won't show that part. I will skip over that and to the other one, uh, to the two sections of this. But you will see the Prime Minister in this section trying to relate to the students that are there uh, by basically sharing with them that even though it's been a long time since he's been in their shoes, there are certain similarities about their situations today, but with one major, major difference. So here we go, kids and cups. Let me see if I can line this up for you here. My timestamp here is 31:39. So let's just go right there on it. All right. And there we go, kids and cubs. And I'm going to make sure that this is at normal speed because it wasn't. And here's the Prime Minister, the first few elements of him connecting specifically with the audience in the room. And one of the in this speech was not to try to directly look at the camera for the entire time, but actually make contact with the people who are in the room.
Evening. Look, it's been a while since I was in your shoes at university. It's been a long while, actually. It's been a long while, but one of the things is that there are some similarities to our experiences, okay? Trust me, I'm going to draw them out. The fact is, in particular, we will have both studied and entered the workforce. You will soon enter the workforce during times of immense change, okay? And I've learned a few things since I graduated, and I've increasingly understood this point that, you know, life doesn't proceed in a straight line. And that the history and the progress of nations are punctuated by hinge moments. Times when the future literally hangs in the balance and when our actions can be decisive.
So that's the first part of that for the Prime Minister, as you see. Just relating a little bit, noticing that there is some similarities and talking about specific hinge points in history because he believes we are at one now. And here's the continuation of that part.
Is more dangerous and divided. The U.S., as we all know, has fundamentally changed its approach to trade. It's raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. And the scale and the speed of these developments are not part of a smooth transition, they're a rupture. And they mean that our economic strategy needs to change dramatically. And they mean as well, even though we both lived through time, or I lived through times of immense change, your future will not be the same as my past. Because my time as a student was marked by events of a similar magnitude, but in a very different direction. When I was your age, the Berlin Wall fell, leading to a long period of liberalization of the movement of goods, capital, and people, leading to a peace dividend. C'était une époque d'optimisme, d'espoir.
So he says it was a period of optimism and hope at that time when that happened. And then I lied. I thought that it was 2 parts, but it's actually 3 parts. So this is the third part of it, where he sort of wraps up the question of similarities and differences with youth today.
Now, at the same time that all of this is happening, technology is changing the way we work, live, and communicate. When I was in graduate school, the World Wide Web, as we then called it, that was the modern term of the information superhighway, if you ever heard of that. The World Wide Web, as we then called it, was just beginning. We used pen and paper in class. We talked on the telephone to each other. And we talked about the same news stories, the same movies, the same bands. My generation was connected by wires, yours is connected by code, and yet our society today is becoming ever more disconnected. Our public square is fragmented by online echo chambers, where truth and fiction can be hard to tell apart, and where contrasting ideas tend to polarize, not persuade. Now, in the context of all this, we have relearned some key lessons over the course of the past year. First, we have to take care of ourselves because we can't rely on one foreign partner. We have to take care of each other because we are stronger together. And we've learned that now is not the time to be cautious because fortune favors the bold. Nous pouvons nous donner beaucoup plus que d'autres ne pourront jamais nous prendre.
Than others could ever take from us. We are masters in our own home. Canadians will decide what happens here.
It's your future. And we are going to give it back to you.
So there you have it, kids and cubs. The Prime Minister laying out that when university, just like youth are today, it was a time of great upheaval and change, except the big difference between the two periods is that now everybody is more worried and concerned about the change, whereas back in his time, people were more hopeful. Yes, they were big changes that were going to change the world in ways uh, that we had not yet seen, and that were going to bring lots of disruption. Um, but there, everybody was hoping at the time that a better world was going to emerge from it. Now people are wondering, you know, do I need to hold fast to the little bit I have, or will I risk losing it, or somebody coming around and taking it away? So we don't have um, the consequences. We feel that if we're walking the high wire, that there's less of a net under us today than there was at the time. Uh, Mentions here some very important things, right? So the differences may be, right, that back then we were connected by wire, now we're connected by code. In terms of the technological rupture that's happening as well, right? We have the rupture that the United States is imposing upon the world, but also the technological rupture that is happening at the moment. Um, so while we're more connected, we've never felt more disconnected. And that um, what is online now is being used more to polarize than to persuade. So he's laying out some stark realities and some stark similarities and some stark differences between the two periods, but then mentions, the important things here, that we have to take care of each other, we have to take care of ourselves, and we can't be afraid at this particular time to make bold moves, and ends it with a pledge to youth, which probably would have played very well in the election campaign had he said it then, but it's your future, and we're going to give it back to you. And this stands in stark contrast with Pierre Poilievre, who's been saying everything is broken, blame everybody else, only I can fix it, right? And you will no longer have to be living in the basements of your parents until you're 40 something years old. You'll be able to go out. And when Pierre doesn't have the policies to back that up, clearly, as we've all seen. Um, But Pierre is really doing the thing, you do not like your situation right now, like this, I will fix it for you. Mark Carney is Pierre is basically telling the youth today is you have no future, but I can give it back to you. Whereas the prime minister is saying you might feel like your future is being adversely affected by all this rupture. This, but we recognize that it is your future and we are going to give it back to you. So, in other words, we're not going to let that happen. It's a bit of a different motivation because Pierre is blaming fellow Canadians for the fact that younger Canadians may feel that their future prospects are not so great. Whereas the Prime Minister is saying that there are things happening in the world that are creating some huge ruptures that are very much disturbing the pattern and are changing the expectations, right? We've told you all your life that, if you work hard, you play by the rules, you study hard, you do lots of extracurriculars and all that kind of stuff, do some volunteer work, maybe get some part-time job along the way, all those little pieces, you put it together, and when you graduate, you're going to get a great job because you invested in your education, you became a well-rounded person, you did all those things, and all that stuff is going to count like this, and that you're going to have a good life. Well, they don't see that happening, right? So much now to the point that people are wondering, is it worth it to get a college or university degree anymore? There are people wondering that these discussions are being had out loud at the moment. Um, so, youth wondering, so am I ever going to be able to buy a house? Am I ever going to be able to afford having a family? If I'm living in a one bedroom or even like bachelor type condo for the years that I am at 30 to 50. Um, okay, I live in a place where I can make a baby, but I'm not living in a good place to raise a baby. So do I bring a baby into the world? Right? These are questions that kids are asking themselves at younger and younger ages. I say kids, youth, I should say specifically, are asking themselves. And the future can look a little bleak. So Prime Minister turning around saying, "It's your future and we're going to give it back to you," is a very, very impactful line. And as you can see, it played very well in the room. Um, the Prime Minister went on to talk about things, typical things that we hear in a stump speech, saying that we have what the world needs, we have the values to which the world aspires, and that's why he's confident that we can be successful in the path forward that he sees for us. Um, Talks about our pluralism being an asset, again in stark contrast to Pierre, who every time he talks about diversity, it's a problem. And the speech was punctuated throughout it with moments that would draw contrast with Pierre, but in a non-confrontational, non-aggressive, and non-I'm putting him down way. The Prime Minister almost never spoke, or probably didn't even speak of the Conservatives at all. Just spoke about where we were going, but stating clearly who he was and what goals he was pursuing, because you could see how each of those, when he was taking some moments to stress those, how they would stand in contrast with what the Conservatives have on offer for us. He went in and then started talking about other things that he's been working on, like, for example, safe communities. And because today there will be, I believe it will be today, the Minister of Justice, Sean Fraser, will be tabling the bail reform bill officially in the House. So he's been talking about that, but also talking about the successes that he's had. So, mentioned that the Major Projects Office has now been started as a result of having passed the One Canadian Economy Act. Talked about specifically how um, the first projects have been chosen, focusing on those projects on elements that have to do with low carbon manufacturing, producing green energy, and transporting things in a manner that is greener. He mentioned that it was his mentioned Build Canada Homes program, and that it was the goal of the government of Canada to double within a decade the number of houses being built in a year. And I saw something somewhere else the other day that saying that the first 9 modular homes that were supposed to go to Nunavut I think, are soon to be on their way, and they will soon have an announcement there. So that would be a very quick turnaround there. Now, of course, people could turn around and go, "Oh my God, it's only 9 homes," like this. But like I said, it's a start. You got to start somewhere, and the time before something like this being announced and actually seeing a tangible result from a start is usually way longer. So this will be a quick turnaround. He talks about things of importance that could be of importance to youth, like, for example, reconciliation and the inclusion of First Nations, because the Prime Minister ran during the campaign on a big focus on trades and apprenticeships, which is going to be very attractive to youth. Talked about his initiatives to grow the economy being linked to the creation of strong union jobs. And he's often mentioned in his speeches talking about just jobs, but careers. He didn't do that in this particular one, but he has hearkened to that, back to that a lot. And talking about, of course, because this is important to youth as well, the climate competitiveness strategy, which will be officially, there'll be more about that in the budget. But as we've been pointing out on the show, a lot of these projects are chosen because they also have a climate impact. And a lot of these things, like, for example, for the housing, as he's mentioned, having a 20% lower carbon footprint in the manufacturing of these houses, but having these houses operate in a way that they require 20% less energy to function. So you're getting some savings that way as well, um, and some action there on that, stating that to act on climate, yes, is a moral duty, but let's not focus on the moral duty thing. We all agree on that. It is an economic imperative. Pardon me, I have to cough. So making the point about it being an economic imperative. Um, Talks about the fact that he has uh, advanced on some deals because Pierre keeps on saying that the Prime Minister travels a lot but doesn't come home with much. So I mentioned the free trade deal with Indonesia, the fact that there are some foundational documents already signed with the United Arab Emirates. Talked about the defense stuff that we're doing with Europe, the whole SAFE program, and the access to over $1 trillion in defense contracts that we've negotiated. And of course, critical minerals deals with Germany, to name a few. Also, briefly mentions the need to be able to reestablish links with India and China because they are two huge markets and we are losing access rapidly to one of the biggest ones out there. And mentions that he has a goal to double exports from Canada to non US countries within the next 10 years as well. Um, then goes in to talking about as well, very briefly, the red tape reduction process that he had engaged in, saying that that was complete. It was 60 days and that they found 500 different places where they could act to reduce some red tape. And I'm guessing that they will be coming out with a plan to enact those changes soon. And then he gets into the part where he starts keeping it real I mean, not that he hasn't been keeping it real the entire time with Canadians, uh, but keeping it real in the sense that he has mentioned uh, previously and during the campaign that there would be sacrifices required somewhere along the way. Um, and here he talks about them as well during this speech, um, and said something to the effect. He's been saying things like, for example, we are going to spend less so that we can invest more, right? And that, how do I put it? It prompts some laughs from the conservatives because they want you to just look at the deficit number. They don't want you to care whether or not it's for operational spending or whether or not it's because we're doing things like, for example, buying a home or investing in our education, where we're taking on good debt. So if you could say, call it that, debt that will make it such that in the future we will be able to um, be more productive or create more income for ourselves, have a better life. The conservatives don't want you to look at that. They just want you to look at a number right off the bat and say, okay, well, that number's high, that's bad. And that's why the conservatives are trying to get you to believe that deficitary spending is necessarily inflationary. And that's not necessarily true. Um, And there is a battle on the right. We had a Maxime Bernier come out the other day and try to take a strip off Pierre by stating, you know, I how would I put it? The conservatives have been taking the position that Justin Trudeau said that there would be $42 billion deficits. So we should at least have $42 billion deficits and not more than that. So that's what Pierre is trying to do. But in the process of doing that, Pierre is basically conceding that $42 billion deficits are acceptable. And so slid in Max Bernier with something stupid, but of course, for the people to whom they're talking, because Max is further right and the PPC is further right to the Conservatives, and the Conservatives have been eating the PPC's lunch by Pierre being as radical as he is. So Maxime, one here that says, is that your fix the budget solution, Pierre? $42 billion deficit is inflationary. The real solution is cutting, cutting, and cutting to balance the budget right now. So that's where Max and the PPC are. Again, as I mentioned before, a sort of stop the world from spinning, gravity be damned Just cut that deficit to zero right now, no matter what. Doesn't matter who you need to hurt. Doesn't matter where you cut. Just cut it, and that's what you need, and that's what's going to stop inflation. And we know that's not true because yesterday I went to look at the 8 consecutive years of budget surpluses that we ran under Chrétien and Martin, and during that time, inflation was running around 2% as well. Inflation, the most recent numbers came out at 2.4%, but in the last few months we had been at 1.7, 1.9. So it's not that government spending necessarily is inflationary and is the only thing. No, that's just a big lie. So Pierre has a terrible solution for it, and Max comes in and tells Pierre to hold his keg because he's got an even worse one. But that plays well with that sector of the political spectrum, and therefore Maxim is trying to make Pierre look like he doesn't know what he's doing to the most right of the most right, saying that if you believe that government spending causes inflation, then you need to cut that deficit down to zero right away. Of course, Maxim doesn't admit that if you cut that much funding all in one shot, drastically and brutally, you're going to start creating a whole bunch of other societal deficits and deficits in certain sectors that will take years and years and years to fix, as we've learned from the Harper and Trudeau experience, where Harper simply would make the announcement that he was spending money and get all the press from it, and then not actually spend the money. And he did that for several years. That's one of the ways that he so-called balanced the budget at the end. The other one was the sale of our GM shares at a loss, just so he could create the illusion of a balanced budget. It wasn't even a structural balanced budget because it was achieved through smoke and mirrors, right? But all those years that he promised funding for stuff and the funding didn't come, those created deficits in those sectors that needed to be shored up. So when you're sitting around, you're wondering, gee, why did Trudeau need to run those deficits in the early years? Because Harper had let a lot of things wither on the vine, and they needed to be funded. So we did, right? So in there, when he's talking about making such sacrifices, he has a line that's sort of parallel to spend less so that we can invest more. And that is, we need to do less of the things we want to do in order to do more of the things that we must. So here the Prime Minister is trying to get us to focus on, I like to bring it back to Maslow's pyramid hierarchy of needs. There are some very, very basic things that we need as a society to be able to function and grow in the manner that we would like to. And right now, our resources are particularly limited, and we need to take care of our most essential and basic needs at the moment, which means that for the next while, more of our money is going to be going on food and rent and basic health and basic clothing than it is going to be going on outings and experiences. For example, this is all a concept that we're familiar with, right? In terms of our own personal lives, there are times, where we would like to take this trip, we would like to do it, but we can't because we absolutely must fix the hole in the roof, right? So it's one of those things that he's talking about here, that there are things that we must do, distinguishing between wants and needs, and there are things that we need absolutely, and the things that we want and that we could allow ourselves to want if the things that we absolutely needed were taken care of. We might have to put a couple of those things on the shelf for a while. Let's see what else. But did mention that in the process of doing that, he would protect programs such as the dental program, the National School Food Program, and childcare. Those 5 million Canadians benefit from the dental program, 400,000 Canadians benefit from the school foods program, and 900,000 Canadians kids benefit from the childcare program. So he's going to keep all of those. And Kit Linda and yesterday in the chat also mentioned that yesterday the federal government had announced over $600 million for scientific research, including 482 to create, I think, 259 more research chairs in our universities, which is going to be very good for not only promoting Canadian talent, but attracting talent from around the world, especially talent that might be fleeing the United States at the moment. So taking care of that, which is a situation that makes me very happy because, as I mentioned often on the shows, it's not only about AI these days, but it's also about IP. And the more patents we are creating in Canada, the better it will be for us in the long run. Talks about some of the other things that have been benefiting us at the moment. The fact that housing starts are up and that the cost of housing is decreasing. Recent numbers show that the price of housing has decreased 3% in Vancouver and 2% in Toronto. Or is it 3% in Toronto, 2% Vancouver? One of those two. That for the course year over year in September, there's been an increase in housing starts of about 14%. Yeah, more housing supply being built, and the price of housing starting to come down in certain major centers. So we're starting to see some benefits, but we're still in the early days, of course. And then mentioning that when he's talking about things being tough, and this is another moment where he created some contrast with Pierre Poilievre, stating that when it comes to those moments, that, and I believe his quote was, "I will always be straight about the challenges we must face and the choices we have to make," stating that he would not play games and that he would not waste time in trying to bring about these changes. So again, drawing contrast with Pierre, who never misses an opportunity to misinform us or to exaggerate or to engage in hyperbole, and to play lots of games. But this prime minister saying here that he will not do that. And if we look at what he did with regard to the by-election and with Pierre, where he could have played a lot of games and delayed that by like close to 6 months and make it such that Pierre would not be able to enter the House of Commons were he to win until sometime around January. He said, no games, no nothing. Here, you want your by-election? Go ahead, take it. Right? So this is similarly here with the Prime Minister, saying that he is going to be honest and up forward there. So I think that I have that clip here, and might not be at the exact starting point, but I wanted to play it because this is something I think you should hear from the Prime Minister himself rather than leading it.
And as we work to do so, I want to make this promise to Canadians. I will always be straight about the challenges that we face and the choices that we must make. And to be clear, we won't transform our economy easily or in a few months. It will take some sacrifices, and it will take some time. Our government will work relentlessly to cut waste and drive efficiencies. And when we have to make difficult choices, we will be thoughtful, we'll be transparent, and we'll be fair. We will work collaboratively with our colleagues across the aisle to build, protect, and empower Canadians. We won't play games. We won't waste time. And we won't hold back. We will do what it takes. We will play to win. We will bet on Canada and all Canadians.
So there you go, kids and cubs. That was the Prime Minister from last night. Very essential piece of communication. It was very well done, well structured, well delivered. There was very little to criticize in it. Of course, you're going to the Conservatives are going to have to find something, and they will try to spend something. But all in all, this was well done. The members of the DAMFAM who were watching live with us liked what they heard. It seemed to have been well received. In the commentary that I've heard post speech, I didn't hear too much piling on or too much negative. So hopefully that will continue into the day and until the next couple of days. That will be the overall impression of this. But yes, the Prime Minister, again, addressing the nation, which is very rare in Canada to do a primetime address of that type of sort. But again, bringing us in, communicating with us, telling us, okay, it's almost sort of like, 6 months ago, you guys elected me, and well, here's your 6 month progress report. Here's where we are, and here's where we're going next. And, thank you for your support. I still believe in you. It's going to be tough. I won't lie. We're going to have to make some sacrifices. I won't lie. I will be honest with you and straightforward and transparent about what tough choices we need to make, what sacrifices we need to make. But we have done this before, and I do believe we can do this again. And again, as Canadians, I believe in you. So let's make this happen. A very, very well structured speech. And at the end of it as well, I actually said, you know what? There is one more point I would like to play for you. I just thought about this because in the speech on the show, right, we do tend to say, because democracy is something you do. And to end the speech, the Prime Minister did call upon the people in the room to get involved. And I'm hoping that I have this at the exact right spot here. But this is, if I've queued this up correctly, this is the Prime Minister, quote unquote, bringing it home by asking the people in the audience and indirectly the people at home, I would assume, to democracy.
Our government will work tirelessly to eliminate waste and enhance efficiency. And when we must make difficult choices, we will do so with thoughtfulness and all transparency. We will work collaboratively with our colleagues from all the parties to build, protect, and empower Canadians. We will not play games, and we won't waste time. We won't hold back. We will do whatever it takes, because we will play to win, and we will bet on Canada and on all Canadians. It is our country. It's your future. We will give you that control.
So a bit repeating in French what he had said in English there just before we cut off. And I think that this would be the part. But that was well received, as you can hear.
And to finish, because we're all in this together, I ask you to get involved. The fact you're here this evening, we do many other things, shows that you're interested in being involved. Get involved. Look out for each other. Look after each other. I know from the history that I read in university and the history that I've lived since graduating that fortune truly does favor the bold. And the hinge of fate will turn on what Canada does right now. We're going to have to change how we do some things. But we will never change who we are. This moment has revealed, yes, the limits to our economic independence. Limits that we must tackle head on, and we will. But more importantly, what it's revealed is a nation that's more determined, generous, hardworking, compassionate, and ambitious than any other on earth. We are Canada strong. Canada fort. Vive le Canada. Thank you.
Listening to Prime Minister Mark Carney there in Ottawa speaking.
So there you have it, kids and cubs, the Prime Minister engaging in a little, because democracy is something that you do. We like that. telling people to get involved. So there you go, kits and cubs. That is the sort of brief overview I had. A lot of things I mentioned are similar to what was in the show last night, but if you want the full speech and the full breakdown, please watch last night's special. It's in there. And like I said, it was for those of us who are political junkies, last night was some very compelling viewing, I have to say. And it's very nice to see that. And now that the Prime Minister has done it, I agree even more with Laura Babcock that this is something he should do more of. Times there where he sits back and addresses the nation on some certain regular intervals here, because we are going to be engaging in a major transformation of how it is that Canada works. And, you know, you have to make sure that not only did you get people engaged in the project to start with, but you have to keep them going along with the project. And one of the good ways to do that is, again, to report back to the shareholders of Canada on a regular basis as the CEO on the decisions that have been made and what progress have been made in implementing them, and have they been yielding the benefits that we hoped that they would have, right? And if not, what adjustments are we making along the way? So very, very good addressed, very good piece of communications. And again, hoping that there will be more of this. This is where I find the Prime Minister is at his best. A bit like Justin Trudeau in the previous time when Justin Trudeau was talking. There were certain moments where he would get up and we would talk about things, and you would see like, okay, this is when he is absolutely at his best, and you could see it often. Like for example, when he was being heckled, whatnot, and how he would handle hecklers and that type of stuff. You say, okay, yeah. That's why people like him, right? Because he's not afraid to tell a heckler, no, you've been heard. Now let somebody else speak. Thank you very much, right? Or actually take on a heckler, not saying, no, don't take him out of the room. What do you want to say? Okay, I'm going to address you. You don't want to hear me give the answer? Okay, well, then now you can leave, right? Because you're clearly not here for a good faith conversation. So, these are the moments where this particular prime minister shines, when he takes on the CEO of Canada sort of mantle and reports back to the shareholders, and gets also lets us know where things are so that he can get our buy-in to things. And the more of that type of communication he does, the more effective I think he will be, and the longer he will be able to bring people along this plan, because there are people that jump off bandwagons along the way as well, right? So when things take time or they don't get the results at their speed that they would like them, but the prime minister being a realist here, that this is going to take time, it's going to take some effort, and it's going to take some sacrifice, and a lot of noticing here that a lot of the things that he's done before and the way that he has done them sort of set the stage for the credibility he needs when he says that I will always be straight with you and I won't play games, and I won't waste time, because we're seeing that at the moment in everything else that he's doing, that this seems to be values that are permeating the manner in which he chooses to present himself as prime minister. Okay, kits and cubs, let's move on to some other topics today. Actually, you know what? Let's see if there's anything in the chat with regard to what some of the DAMFAM have seen with regards to this here. Let me see if there's anything at all. Not seeing anything off the top of my head very quickly. So I will. Oh, there we go. What's this? Keep calm and Carney on. Me too. Saw that the other day and have been using it. Indeed. Kit Todd here. Less logistics and a ready supply throughout the prairies. I'm not sure what that's about. Get Kit Lori here, writing from the US. I really like and respect Carney. Such a drastically refreshing difference from whiny Pierre. Indeed. There we go. Here's Kit Todd. This might be the first part of the tweet that I missed. Of the comment. I think as a diversification tool for Canada only and for farmers in situ, they blend the fuel at home like a dairy, adding a value-added resource to their farm to use or trade. Again, I guess I came in late to that conversation, and I'm not exactly sure what it is referring to. So hopefully look back on that and after the show and get that. So sorry, kids. I thought I would be able to very deftly go into the chats and be able to bring back some feedback. But that was an attempt that was not particularly well accomplished this time around. So instead of having you watch me scroll up and down and trying to find a comment there that would work, I am just going to move on to the next subject today on the show. And that is, once again, the fallout from ReRun's really dumb anti-RCMP and anti-Trudeau comments appears to continue. We had mentioned yesterday that it was causing some rifts in the party. We had comments from Dimitri Sudas, who had written that editorial that did not at all it was very unflattering because it went a little beyond. It was sort of making the case for which, without outright saying it, but making the state for which, making a case that Pierre probably should not be leader as well, not just criticizing the comments. Aaron Weary of CBC News had a very interesting article here, and I'm trying to see here. So an analysis, and then there was another article that came out yesterday that was indicating where Pierre might have a specific problem. So with Aaron Weary, he says 20 minutes before Pierre Poilievre accused the RCMP of participating in a massive political cover-up, the Conservative leader was explaining to his interviewers how, in his own judgment, he had kept his party united behind him. Within the party, he said, there are a number of distinct philosophical groupings. There are, quote, law and order conservatives and libertarians and fiscal conservatives and social conservatives. And so Poilievre said he chooses to focus on the things that all of these groups can agree on. Quote, I draw a circle on a page for each one of those groups, and I look at the place where all of those circles overlap, and I put all my energy in those places, he explained. And that way, the various parts of our coalition feel like they're getting something that matters to them. This explains, Poilievre said, why he has focused on things like low taxes, small government, free enterprise, and getting tough on crime. It perhaps also explains why he has had so little to say about climate change, an issue that divides conservative voters in Canada. And that's why, if you look at our party over the last 3 years, we've had very little dissent, Poilievre said. Having explained how to hold a team together, Poilievre decided to test the limits of what conservatives could agree about, suggesting that the despicable leadership of the National Police Force helped cover up alleged crimes of the last prime minister. It's interesting that Pierre didn't mention threats and intimidation as a matter of way to keep people in line, because that's been well documented. But he doesn't talk about those things. We don't talk about Bruno. Those comments were uploaded to YouTube last week, and now there is a little more dissent than there was before. The first real wobbles within the Conservative Party since Poilievre became leader in September 2022. And perhaps Conservatives have cause to consider how much they agree with their leader. It's unclear how much Poilievre himself is willing to stand behind his claim, though he has neither apologized for nor retracted his comments. Talking points distributed to Conservative MPs on Monday stopped short of repeating Poilievre's own claims. A written statement later released by Poilievre's office attempted to argue that he was specifically referring to former RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki, who stepped down in 2023. Poilievre didn't mention Lucki by name in the interview, and his description of the RCMP's leadership as despicable was phrased in the present tense. And as Thomas Mulcair showed us, and we mentioned yesterday, and we showed it, he reread the quote and said, and now Pierre is saying this. That is not what he said then. And Pierre is still somewhat insisting, for some reason, that he did not say what it is he did very specifically. I believe we might have a clip of that somewhere here. I believe this is it. Yep, this is it right here from CPAC. So I will put it on here. All right, so just cue this up for you here. Pierre starts this with saying, "I'll tell you what I said," which is really, really interesting phrasing to sir, because we all saw the tape. We know what you don't need to tell us what you said. We can just go back to the tape and refer to what you said.
Are you saying the former prime minister, should be in jail?
That's not what I said.
Well,
That's not
that's
what
what
I
I
said.
heard. What did you
That's
say
not what I
then?
said.
Repeat what you said.
Sure, I'll tell you what I said. I was asked about the scandals of the last 10 years of the Liberal government, and what would I do if such scandals and corruption were to happen when I become prime minister? And I said I would have zero tolerance for corruption. Nobody is above the law. So if I could, in certain cases, I think there were scandals in the Liberal government that would be appropriately punished in that way. You think of the Green Slush Fund, where individuals were appointed to a board to manage public funds. And what did they do with it? They gave it to themselves. To me, that is a crime for which they should have been held responsible. People have got to be held responsible for corruption. And if you look at my remarks, that's what I said. We will hold people accountable for corruption.
Okay. Lie, 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 lie. He noticed he's bringing a new thing in now. The Green Slush Fund. This, I think that was the SDG thing. I don't remember what it stands for exactly off the top of my head. So bringing in a new element, an element that so far that I know of hasn't had any RCMP involvement and whatnot, and saying that the people that were there who did the things that were incorrect with the money should probably be in jail. But that has nothing to do with Prime Minister Trudeau specifically, or the RCMP investigating Liberal crime. This would be something, if criminality there actually was, were public servants, certain public servants or certain people that were hired to administer that fund going rogue in a certain way. And when that information was found out, the fund was canceled, which is what you would expect the government to do. So, unless Pierre is suggesting that unless all hiring within the federal public service or to run government programs is, unless you've had perfect judgment 100% of the time and have never hired somebody who was prone to ethical lapses to be able to do that job, that is therefore directly the fault of the prime minister, and therefore should result in an investigation from the police force. And if that investigation doesn't give the results that we would like to come out of them, or that we would want to come out of it, therefore that necessarily means that there was no investigation and rather it was a cover-up. That's not what what he's saying now that he said then is not what he said in any way, shape, or form. So Pierre is backpedaling and lying through his teeth, and thus creating just more problems for himself. Appearing before reporters on Wednesday, Poilievre tried to insist he had not said Justin Trudeau should be in prison, though he had said that Trudeau had violated the criminal code in the Aga Khan affair, and that he probably violated the criminal code in the SNC-Lavalin affair, and that, quote, many of the scandals of the Trudeau era should have been involved jail time. Such attempts to retroactively finesse his comments suggest a certain amount of regret on Poilievre's part, or at least an understanding that his comments didn't advance his hopes of becoming the next prime minister. And in that answer, he said, and when I'm prime minister, yeah, that's not going to happen, buddy boy. You'll be lucky to still have a career after January. If Poilievre's comments are to be taken seriously, there are any number of questions to ask, starting with what evidence he has to support his claims and ending with whether he would make changes to the force's leadership or structure if he ever became prime minister. But it also apparently now necessary to ask how many Conservative MPs are still eager to unite behind Poilievre. Conservative MPs have largely avoided commenting about their leader's recent remarks when asked by reporters, but on Wednesday, Radio-Canada reported that at least some Conservative MPs now have doubts about their leader. I also remember seeing a clip where somebody was asking, like, what do you think about, do you still support your leader? I'll tell you who I support. I support the Jays. As I do not know why politicians do that. I don't know why they do that at all, because that's just dumb. It's First of all, you're avoiding the question, obviously. Two, it's like, don't bring the J's good name into this. Don't use the J's success as a shield to deflect from answering uncomfortable questions. When your leader does something that is clearly questionable and off the mark, don't deflect to somebody else's success. Come on. The most strident public voice against Polyev is Dimitri Sudas, former director of communications to Stephen Harper. In an op-ed in the Toronto Star, Sudas accused Polyev of dismantling the principled and serious credible party that Harper worked so hard to lead and bring to power, one of substance, maturity, and integrity. And on the fact that Pierre would never become prime minister, when talking about some conservatives that have expressed doubts about their leader, one of them said, quote, "These comments are proof that Pierre Poilievre will never be prime minister." So people within the conservative caucus are now coming to the conclusion, yeah, it's just not going to happen for you, buddy. You just don't have the stuff. Quote, "We are a democracy of rule of law. Therefore, the leader of the opposition, the prime minister in waiting, cannot just throw out there that we should be jailing a former prime minister, that the RCMP covered up evidence and the RCMP leadership is reprehensible," Sudas added in a radio interview. Quote, "These are institutions that, while they are imperfect, somebody who vies to be prime minister of this country is seen as a moral compass. But as remarkable as it may be for the leader of the opposition to accuse the RCMP of participating in a political cover-up, it's also not the first time Polyev has turned his ire on a nonpartisan institution. His attacks on the leadership of the RCMP have something in common with his attacks on the governor of the Bank of Canada in 2022 and his attacks on the chief electoral officer in 2014. And the reaction of Sudas now has something in common with the reactions of Jean Charest and Sheila Fraser then, each worried that Polyev had made a reckless attack on a public institution. Polyev thrives on conflict and is quick to identify opponents, from the media to the World Economic Forum, and whatever else might be said about him, he is not shy or subtle about how he does politics. In the same interview in which he made his accusation against the RCMP, he said, quote, "The authoritarian left was to blame for the murder of American conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Earlier this month, the Conservatives loudly took aim at diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. If anyone had misgivings about their leader's approach before now, they were, as Polyev noted, pretty quiet about it. Of course, up until relatively recently, it seemed that Polyev was leading the Conservatives into a large and certain victory, and my editorial edition had lots of goodies to distribute. Well, now, he didn't win, and he has no goodies to distribute, and he's looking more and more like he's never going to be a winner. That will make it such that if there are people that have misgivings about the leader's approach, that they will not be pretty quiet about it henceforth. Questions were raised about Polyev's style during the spring's election campaign, but based on the available evidence, Polyev has not come away from defeat with a feeling that he needs to make major changes to the way he does politics. As he said around the time he became leader, quote, "I am who I am." Ah, if he would have said, "I am what I am," we could have broken right into a casual fall. Recent polling by Abacus data showed that Canadian public opinion of Polyev remains split. 39% of Canadians viewed him positively, while 42% viewed him negatively. But among Conservative voters, the view was overwhelmingly favorable, with 80% viewing him positively and just 5% negatively. As well, if you look among Conservative voters, 45% of them support Donald Trump and what it is that he's doing. So Pierre is in between a rock and a hard place as leader in that sense. Such numbers may bode well for Polyev's leadership review at the next Conservative Party convention in January, but perhaps his comments about the RCMP are giving some Conservatives cause to reflect. Polyev has been fairly clear about who he is, what he believes, and how he does politics, and now it is for Conservatives to decide whether they would place him on their own personal. And now it is for Conservatives to decide where they would place him on their own personal Venn diagram. And about those doubts being expressed, according to Lawrence Martin of also CBC. After Conservative leader Pierre Polyev blasted RCMP leadership on a podcast, some party members are questioning whether they will continue supporting him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Conservative caucus members who spoke to Radio-Canada said Polyev has not changed his message enough since the last election campaign and is not projecting an image befitting a prime minister. Radio-Canada is not naming the sources, so they can freely about internal party matters. In total, Radio-Canada spoke to 10 Conservative sources across the country, including 7 caucus members. 4 of the sources are unsure whether they will support Poilievre in a confidence vote this January, after having supported him in recent years. Quote, "It's completely irresponsible to say that a former prime minister should be imprisoned," one of the sources told Radio-Canada in French. Speaking last week on the YouTube channel. So, in those first paragraphs, first of all, 5 Conservative caucus members who spoke to Radio-Canada said Poilievre has not changed his message enough. The Liberals are 3 away from a majority. And over the past few days, we've been sort of learning that the Liberals have not been probing the NDP to see if they can find 3 people that would defect from there, but probing the Conservatives, and specifically Conservatives Ontario East, who are not necessarily all in on the Western Conservative grievance thing. And based on this article, when it says it's completely irresponsible to say that a former prime minister should be imprisoned, one of the sources told Radio-Canada in French, I'm going to guess here, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's a Quebec-based Conservative MP. I believe they have 12. And if he is going to lose 3, this probably would be in Quebec and in Atlantic Canada, and probably a good chance that they would be first-term MPs who would really like to get reelected again, perhaps so that they can qualify for their pension, but maybe for other reasons as well. And Pierre is definitely getting in the way of that. So 10 sources, including 7 caucus members, 4 are unsure whether they will support him in a confidence vote this January. 5 caucus members. So those 4 that are saying that they're not sure whether or not they will support him are not necessarily caucus members, right? So, because if we've got 10, 7 caucus members, 3 not, 3 can be involved with the party in other way. But if 5 caucus members are saying that he's not projecting an image befitting a prime minister, and 4 of the sources are unsure whether or not they will support Pierre in a confidence vote. It's definitely a mix of caucus and non-caucus members. So there are certain caucus members among those 5 who are probably even more inclined than some of the others to consider making a switch. That switch, the only question becomes at that point is whether or not that switch would happen before or after the leadership review. Doing it before could create some extra pressure and drama prior to the vote that could lead to a vote not going Pierre's way. Or if you just wait till after it, and it's like, okay, Pierre's going to be the leader for the foreseeable future, I can see a moment where certain caucus members can turn around, okay, that's it, I'm out. I'm sorry, but I'm not doing 2.5 or 3 more years with this guy at the helm. Fuck that. So, it would be a surprising twist, but it is because Mark Carney is governing a bit like a progressive conservative and is doing actual conservatism for people who like genuine conservatism better than the Conservative Party of Canada has ever purported to aspire to be able doing. There might be some people who might be feeling at home in the Liberal Party with a progressive conservative leader, actually adhering to actual conservative policies, at least when it comes to fiscal management. Interesting. One of the Conservative MPs who supported Poilievre in the party leadership race told Radio-Canada they believe Poilievre is still obsessed with Trudeau and appears to be having a hard time getting over his election defeat. Yes, because once again, women are too emotional to be in politics. Tea, so yummy. Yum, yum, yum. Seems to me that Pierre is a little too emotional to be in politics at the moment. Oh well. Sources say they intend to demand an explanation of Poilievre's comments at Wednesday's caucus meeting on Parliament Hill. Wonder how that went. Despite the criticism, maybe that's why Pierre had a little bit of a calmer attitude going into that meeting and coming out of that meeting with the Prime Minister. Oh, by the way, it seems that the Prime Minister has also met with the leader of the Bloc Québécois. So he will have met with the leaders of all four opposition parties represented in the House of Commons with seats with regard to his pre-budget consultation. Despite the criticism, many point out that Pierre still enjoys strong support within the party. In an interview with Radio-Canada, Poilievre's Quebec Lieutenant Pierre Paulus said he has confidence in his leader. Quote, "I know what this man is worth to the country, to Quebec," he said. Sorry. Paulus qualified his leader's remarks, saying that attacks on the RCMP were primarily targeting former Commissioner Brenda Lucki, who made, quote, "many mistakes and followed political directives." No proof of those, of the fact that she followed political directives. That's just a feeling that conservatives have. And of course, feelings are not facts. A written statement issued by Pierre Poilievre on Monday echoed that sentiment. Quote, "My comments were directed to former RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki, who has had a lengthy track record of publicly documented scandals, deception, and political interference to the benefit of the Liberal government," the statement said. Again, you can talk about publicly documented scandals, and you can choose to qualify certain things as deception and political interference. But again, from the point of saying, gee, that looks weird, to saying as a fact, she followed political directives and was given them and followed. That's a big leap. That's a big leap. Another Conservative MP told Radio-Canada that Poilievre's remarks on the podcast were a mistake, but not the tragedy of the century. Oh, yes, it is, actually. Quote, "He let his guard down. He was comfortably slumped on a sofa. Anyone can make mistakes," the source said. Mhm. That's like when JD Vance in the States said, "Oh yeah, those young Republicans saying those things like I like Schindler and and all this racist stuff. Oh, that's just locker room talk." Gee, where have we heard that one before? That's just locker room talk. Oh yeah, the Access Hollywood tape. Yes, yes. Those are just boys being boys. Maximum age to be a young Republican is 40. Yes, yes. Just boys being boys. Ha ha ha. Just some locker room talk. Uh-huh. He let his guard down. He was comfortably slumped on a sofa. Yeah, a little too comfortably slumped, which made those comments have a particular color and texture. Because, being so casual and flippant about stating that the National Police Force is despicable and runs interference for a certain government of the day and takes political directives, and that a former leader should probably be in jail. Um, you think it's something, if you were going to say it, you wouldn't be comfortably slumped on a sofa. And we have perfect evidence of that when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau rose in the House of Commons to make allegations against India. He didn't do it in a podcast, comfortably lounging on a sofa or a chair, flippantly just tossing it out there. When you have allegations like that to make, you usually present them in a rather serious context. Probably a little too comfortably slumped. Wondering. Pink Floyd. I'm comfortably slumped. Oh my God. It's good to give a leader two chances. We've already burned Andrew Scheer and Aaron O'Toole after just one election. And whose fault is it that Aaron O'Toole got burned? Oh yeah, Pierre. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, we're just gonna conveniently edit that out of your quote, right? Stephen Harper won on his second attempt. A source close to Poilievre said the leader has a unique style. Oh, yes, a unique style of doing politics. Yes, that's like saying Trump is a transformative president. Pierre has a unique style. I am sorry. Oh my God. These people will say anything. A source close to Poilievre said the leader has a unique style of doing politics and credits the leader's authenticity. Oh my God. For helping the party achieve its best result in the popular vote in a federal election since 1988. Okay, conservatives, for the 17th million time, popular vote is not a thing in Canada. All right? Stop shining. Stop buffing that shiniest silver medal in Canadian political history. And Pierre's authenticity? You mean the whole leaning into being a dick part? Because that's about the only thing that's authentic about the man. Like, come on. A man who needs that many makeovers in one election campaign is the last thing you can consider authentic. This is a man who does not know who he is, or doesn't like who he is, or is convinced that who he knows he is, if he does know who he is completely unpalatable, and keeps on trying to be something else, something other than what he is, because he knows what he is insufficient, that he is limited. Mm, 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 mm. Come on, please. Pierre, authentic. Sorry. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, things not going well for Pierre, and like I said, the opening by which Mark Carney may secure himself a majority government anyway is definitely going to happen. And let's put it this way: if Pierre wins that leadership review in January, because 45% of the conservative base likes Trump and they want Pierre to be Trumpy and they like that, and that's enough to get him over a margin. Interestingly enough, when Pierre is asked what number he thinks will be okay for him to remain as leader, he doesn't want to say. What number, Pierre? How many? How many? Combien? Combien? How many? Yes or no? What percentage will you need to stay as leader? How many? How many, Pierre? Oh, all of a sudden, he doesn't have a number for that. Nope, 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 not at all. But if he does remain as leader, and then he loses 3, and the conservatives are now not only ineffective, but the liberals are in a majority status, and there will be no election for until the end of the term because the liberals now in a majority status. It won't take long for Pierre to have to resign, even if he passes that leadership review. So keep the faith, kits and cubs, because now even if Pierre wins, there could still be a chance that he loses. How delicious is that? Mm, mm. Finger licking. Yum, 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 yum. Peach juice is running down my arms. Yum, yum, good. All right, kids and cubs. What else do we have? One more little thing before we have to go. Doug Ford. Yeah. Um, seems that people very excited by the Jays going to the World Series wanted to buy some tickets when, well, as you know, kids and cubs, there's this thing called scalpers, right? And there's all these people that buy all these tickets and then they have the resale market and then they resell them. And there were some people that were looking for Jays tickets yesterday, probably on the resale sites, because it seems that all the tickets for all the games, including games 6 and 7, or 5, 6, and 7, if they go that far, to which people in Toronto could buy to view the matches in Toronto, had sold out in about 30 minutes. So people were off to the resale sites pretty darn quickly. And I've seen some tickets selling for as high as $12,000 on the resale sites. That's just absolutely insane. Of course, ever the populist Doug was not happy about this whatsoever, and was asked about it, and had this to say, kits and cubs, which I find extremely interesting, and you might too if you have a little bit of a memory. So let's see here what Doug Ford had to say yesterday.
A lot of Blue Jays fans are facing big ticket prices. Your government scrapped legislation that would have capped those resale prices. Will you bring that back?
Yeah, we actually talked about that, and my personal opinion, I got to talk to the whole team, but they're gouging the people. When you have one player in the market that controls the tickets, that's not right for the people. So we're actually reviewing that right now.
Considering legislation?
Yeah. Well, we're looking at that right now.
Why did you stop it in the first place?
Well, let's look at it and we'll see. I just don't believe in one company controlling everything. And that's what's happening right now with Ticketmaster, in my opinion.
A lot of Blue Jays fans
Okay. Wow. Tons of bullshit there. One, he doesn't believe in one entity controlling everything. It's the guy who has a majority government and is not afraid to use the notwithstanding clause. Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit there. Number two, great deflection. We have one company doing everything. That's Ticketmaster. Yeah, okay. Ticketmaster does charge high service fees and all that type of stuff. But Ticketmaster isn't the one doing the scalped tickets. Those are other people. The resale sites are different. Ticketmaster does have, I believe now, a resale option that's a little more organized. But that isn't Ticketmaster. It's the scalpers. And there was legislation to stop that. And Doug Ford canceled that legislation. So right now, when he's saying that he doesn't believe in one entity controlling everything, well, he did when he removed the anti-scalping legislation. But now he doesn't. So once again, Doug Ford breaks something. And then a few years later, we realize, oh yeah, that's why we put up that fence. And then vows to fix it. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So basically, this whole thing with Doug Ford here with this is essentially him saying, well, look, let's not talk about the part when I broke it and just give me a Timmy Smiles cookie for now promising to fix what I broke. But let's not also talk about the fact that me promising to fix it will not do a damn thing to help those who want Jays tickets now. Okay, folks? What a loser. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy is still riding high in the polls and that people still like him. I have to believe it has to be as a consequence of just not having any palatable options because this guy just bumbles from one disaster to another. And there's a huge thing going on with the skills development training fund with him right now. And I'm hoping to be able to find a guest who knows a lot about that, who can come and talk to us about that, because that seems quite a complex file for me to wrap my head around. But the good folks at the Trillium, by the way, if you're an Ontarian and want to learn more about that, are doing some great pieces. And Charlie Pinkerton, I think, specifically, is doing some very good journalism on that front. So I will definitely be going to look into that and hopefully bringing you some details on that as well, because what's going on with that fund is holy crap on a cracker. Talk about corruption. Again, circling back to Pierre, if the RCMP is protecting liberals, then please ask them why it is that they have not been able to find anything yet on Doug Ford with all the evidence that is out there. Anything for a charge anywhere in the last 3 to 4 years. Anything at all. Jeez. Oh my God. So yeah, Doug Ford trying to walk away from a mess that he made and trying to like I said, get a cookie for saying that he will fix what he broke. Even though, like I mentioned, even if he does introduce some legislation or basically takes Kathleen Wynne's legislation and reintroduces it word for word as his manner of fixing it, it still won't help anybody be able to see the Jays at more affordable prices now. So, yeah, well, that's what happens when you have incompetent people. Oh, I don't like that. Let's just tear it down. I don't feel that's good. Well, fuck your feelings. Learn why it may or may not be good. Know why it may or may not be good, and then make a decision. Don't feel. No. Please. Tired of people acting on feels. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. And especially when you share a little bit from yourself, saying why it is our content resonated with you or why it is you think that people should particularly listen. Sorry, I have to cough again. Or enjoy that content. And we thank you for all of your help on that front. Now, kids and cubs, if you would like for us to help you, you can go to our pod page because sometimes you're busy on the go and you can't watch live, but you still want to be informed with what's going on. Well, thanks to the Ray Girl, she has sponsored our pod page. That's podpage.com/the-truenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And of course, you can scan the QR code to bring you there. And when we have something fresh off the podcast bandwidth, it will come directly to you. As I mentioned on last night's show, I know that there's been some type of issue. We haven't been able to load new podcast shows since the end of September. So I don't know if there's a technical issue going on. I've not been able to speak to Mr. Grizzly about that yet, because I know that sometimes there's some of the software doesn't work, and the Mr. Grizzly in the past has fallen behind, not because he hasn't been trying to get the stuff up, but just because tech is not cooperating. So I'm not sure whether or not it's a situation like that, but we are hoping to get that resolved soon, so that we can get our episodes up to you, because we're closing in on a month now that we've not been able to do that. So I'm assuming it's a technical issue at the moment, because it certainly has nothing to do, I am convinced, with Mr. Grizzly's will to do it, because we all know how personally invested Mr. Grizzly is in ensuring that we have good content, and that we have it in a timely manner. So I am first assuming something technical. I just haven't, because we're keeping such different hours, had time to have a conversation with him to figure out what the delay is, or what it is the issue might be. So hopefully I will have some news on that for you soon and be able to report back. And we thank you for your patience on that front. Kits and Cubs, as well, if you would like to help us, please grab your surfboards and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where Kits Elaine and Kits Cassie would urge and beckon you to click our buttons like, share, and subscribe. Give them a little tickle, because when you do, it helps us with the algorithm. And when we see our numbers go up, it makes us very happy, and we like to be happy. So thank you. Now, Kids and Cubs, if you would like to help us in yet other ways, we do incur some costs to bring this show to you. So if you like what we do and our content resonates with you and you would like to encourage us to do more, we would very much appreciate your help. As you know, this is our 5th season, and this season we might be able to break even for the first time. We would really, really love that, but we do need your help to accomplish that. So if you could, Kids and Cubs, make a trip to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, and make a contribution to the Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund, where every day we fight the scourge that is dry beaver. Yum, yum, yum. Because a moist beaver is a happy beaver. So keep your beaver happy and make a donation to the Emergency Hydration Fund. Thank you, eh? Now, Kits and Cubs, if you're doing the buy Canadian thing, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address, and there you can send a direct bank transfer, which helps you avoid the CE bros from the US side, and also ensures that we get 100% of your donation, so your dollar goes further, because we can do more with it. And we thank you for your support that way. And if you're watching on YouTube, of course, we have Super Chat and we have memberships for sale, and we appreciate all of your support in that way. Thank you so very much. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, Kids and Cubs, do not worry at all, because the gifts of your participation and attention are the ones that matter the most to us. And we love to hear from you. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is the same email address, and you can use to write to us to let us know what you think about the show or with guest suggestions. All of that matters to us. We thank you so much. And yes, if you want to reach us via our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge on the shitter, True North Eager Beaver at Facebook, our original home on the web, and of course right here in the comments section on YouTube. Yeah, please let us know what you think. We're not able to answer everyone, but we do read everything you write, and anything you contribute financially or in word does go back into the show to make it better. And we thank you for all you do for us. It is greatly appreciated. Also, Kit Uncover has recently started an Instagram account for us. So I do not have a link directly up here. Hopefully, Kit Uncover might put it on the chat today. But please go to that. And of course, remember, the DAMFAM on its own started a Discord to keep the DAMFAM chat going after the show. So if you want to join that, just ask Kit Saucy. I'm sure she'll put the link in the chat for you to join. So lots of stuff going on. The fun doesn't stop when the show ends, Kits and Cubs. There's still a lot more out there. And we thank you for all you do in participating in keeping those forums, those fora, I should say, active. And and thank you, because with all the stuff going on, we certainly wouldn't have time to start an Instagram account. So thank you, Kit Uncover, for taking the initiative. We really do appreciate that a lot. All right. Because democracy is something that you do, Kids and Cubs, forever-canadian.ca. We're probably in the last week to collect those signatures. So please find out where your pop-up signature location is. And of course, they too are looking for some funds, because organizing that type of operation does require a little bit of financial assistance. So if you're able to help them, that would be much appreciated. If, Kits and Cubs, you live in the province of Quebec, you have municipal elections coming up very soon on the 2nd of November. And if you are in Yukon, you have territorial elections on November 3rd. Please find out about your candidates, and don't let friends do democracy alone. Plan your vote and bring people with you. And we hopefully tomorrow I will have time to bring you some results of the municipal elections in Alberta that took place on the 20th, because we haven't touched upon them yet. Let's see, what else do we have, Kits and Cubs? I guess it's time for my words of wisdom. Kits and Cubs, in my case, plenty of rest and warm liquids seem to have done the trick, at least part of the way. So again, if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, if you got a little cold, if you have the luxury of being able to take some time for self-care, I always recommend that. And even if you don't have a cold, if you've got other things going on in your life right now, my advice today is make sure to make some time for self-care. Kits and Cubs, it could be a really rough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now at the count of 3, if I may ask for your participation, please say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, 3. I hear you.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
And we got a little bit of time for some Canadians who make us proud. And we're going to talk once again about our short track speed skating team, because the first 2 stops happened in Montreal. And they had a fantastic first weekend. And the second weekend was even better. it's amazing here what the Canadian team has done. William Dan Gidou earned his third individual gold medal of the weekend on Sunday as he completed the sweep of the 500, 1,000, and 1,500 meter races. Wow. He beat out countrymate Stephen Dubois by 4/10 of a second in the 1,000, so it was gold and silver for Canada in that race. That's absolutely fantastic. Then Dan Gidou also joined Dubois and Félix Roussel and Maxime Lahoun to win another gold in the men's 5,000 meter relay. There we go. In the mixed team relay, the Canadian quartet won the gold medal thanks to a great all-round performance, edging out South Korea and Poland. So another gold medal there. And the final medal of the last day, so there were 5 medals on the last day, came from Courtney Sarot, who earned her second medal of the weekend, crossing the finish line just shy of Chandra Velzebor of the Netherlands for silver in the 500 meter race. On the first day of the event, as we mentioned, Dan Gidou had swept all the events, so won the 500 there. And let's see. Stephen Dubois took bronze in the 1,500, so there were 2 Canadians on the podium there as well. Courtney Sarot got gold in the 1,000 meter on the first day of the competition, so that was another medal for her. And then in the 3,000 relay, also a gold medal for Team Canada. So wow, that was a lot of gold in one event for Team Canada at the short track speed skating. I think that might have been 7 medals, 7 gold medals in all on that last weekend. I'd have to double check that to be absolutely sure. But I believe it was indeed a major performance there. Like I said, 4 golds to open up on the first day. So yeah, I do believe it might have been 7 gold in that performance. So that's a lot for Team Canada. But don't, like I said, I will double check that and come back to you on a future show, making that number precise. But they are on the way, and again, with the Winter Olympics coming, they will be a big source of hardware for Team Canada. All right, kids and cubs, I am off. And I will see you tomorrow.